Hello everyone, this is Anna from our Paper Paradise, and today I'll be teaching you how to make another snowflake. As you can see, this one has a little more complex shapes in it, but I'll walk you step by step and we'll make a fun project together. As usual, all the materials will be listed in the description, so let's get on to making the snowflakes. I'm going to be making this one in blue, but you can use any colors you'd like. So as you can see here, there are three colors: a darker main color, a lighter main color, and then the white. Let's start with the center parts. For that, we are going to take a strip and we are going to curl it. Don't put too much pressure on this strip because we want it to expand quite a little bit, so keep it light. Once you have that coil made, we're going to take our size template, and you have the measurements in the description below, and we're just going to let this coil fit the size of the template. Take it off, put a little bit of glue there, and close the loop. Now what we're going to do with this coil is create what it's called a Malaysian petal, which is this shape right here. For that, all you need is your little coil. I'm kind of rotating it a little bit so there's an even distribution of the coils, more or less, and I'm pushing two sides of it to hold that distribution in place. I'm going to grab my tool, place it like that, and then push the sides around it. Don't be afraid to really push this around the tool. So while you're holding this on this side, with this side, you're going to pinch it to make a little point. And once you have that, you're going to take half of a strip, you're going to put a bead of glue. Don't need to go all the way because this will be cut. And we're going to bring those ends together and start gluing the strip right there. And just take it around that shape we just created. Went around once, now we're going around twice, and we're going to cut off the excess. And we have your Malaysian petal done. I'm going to make another one just so you can see it again. I had another coil made already. I'm going to move the center so it's a little more well distributed. Bring my tool in, push around. When you're pushing, make sure you're only pushing the sides. We don't want to squish this part, but then we want to shape it into a point. Same thing as before. Grab a strip, place a bead of glue, and glue it down. you are going to make 6 of these petals. I already have the other made, so we can skip right along to the next step. The next step is with a lighter color. We are going to do exactly the same beginning steps. You're going to curl this into a coil. And these will all be the same size, so it's only one size to worry about. You're going to let it expand until it's the size of the template. Take it off. Glue it down. I'm going to let this one dry a little more, and I'll show you the next step with one I had already made. So now we have this guy. We're just going to hold the center, pull it to one side, and squeeze the other side. I'm trying to have the edge of the strip there on the tip, so it's kind of hidden. Pull it to the other side, pinch that side, so now you have a nice shape, and then we give it a little squeeze to get a S shape. Same thing with this guy. And you need 12 of those, and I already have them here. So the next step is to create the little white dots, and for that I'm just going to take a little tiny strip and we're going to do a tight coil. Just slide it into the tool and coil till the end. Put a little bit of glue on there and you're done. If your coil is not level, you can just put it down and press it with your fingers and it will level up nice and easy. And I already made a bunch of them. So once you have all the shapes made, we just have to assemble it into this beautiful form. For that, you are definitely going to need a piece of corkboard, and if you have a grid, it's very helpful to have a grid because you can line up things better. Not crucial, but helpful. The corkboard, however, it's very necessary for this process. So I'm going to take these 6 and just glue them as close as I can to make a central flower. For that, I'm going to take one of them and just pin it down. A pin on each end of it, making sure it's secure. And then I'll go around and just put a bead of glue on the side of that. Bring another one in. I'll try to line the tips with the whatever lines I chose at the moment. This time I chose the dotted line there. And if you can squish it together a little more and push the pins closer, that will help later when you're putting your little gem in the middle there, so it won't fall through the gap. once the center is in place, you're gonna start gluing the other parts around it. For this part, we are just going to start gluing the tips of these guys onto the tips of these petals. We are going to use pins to hold them in place, so don't worry too much. All we're going to do is put a bit of glue on there and bring the tip against it. Grab a pin and make sure it's snug in there. For the other side. And just go around the circle doing the same thing all over. Now that they are all glued at one end, we are going to glue the other end. For that, we are going to put a bit of glue on one of the sides, like that, and then we'll bring both sides together. I'm trying to follow that red line and make sure they are aligned. And once they're together, we're going to get some pins and pin them down as tightly together as we can. This will just hold it in place until the glue dries. And you repeat the same for all of them. Don't be afraid to squish your coils in order for them to fit what you need. So if they don't line up, adjust them a little bit. At this point, you have the basic shape of the snowflake all done. So everything else is extra. However, it's not just embellishment, it's also structural reinforcement. So everywhere these little dots are, it kind of pulls everything together and gives extra hold points between spots that normally would be very difficult to hold. Even though this is very light, with the time and the weight of the paper, these points might come to apart more easily if we didn't have these securing it. So now we're just going to place all of those. And basically, we're going to place one between each petal in here, one between each petal out here, two more in there, and then 3 at each end. But just follow along with me and you'll see what I mean. For these, I just put a little dot of glue on each side of the petals, like that. Grab one of the things I had already made and put it in there. You don't need to push it too much or anything. You just push it against the glue and leave it. As you are placing these, you can use the blue lines on the grid to make sure they're more or less the same wherever you put them. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it helps the symmetry if you kind of use that. Okay, now let's put the ones in here. These ones are going to help also keep the shape as an S. So we're going to put them in, put the glue in, push them in there, and put a pin to help them stay in place. And I really push them together and then pin. If there's any dots of glue sticking out, just wipe them off with a pin and you're good. And just do the same thing all around. As you start going around, it starts to get harder and harder to reach certain places because of the pins, but that's just a trade-off. They help you and hinder you at the same time. Okay, now that those are done, oh, you might notice that I do this a lot after I glue something, and that's just so that everything is level and no parts of the snowflake are sticking out, because that makes a very uneven snowflake. Now that those are in, we can start gluing the 3 little dots on the ends here. Same process really. I'm going to put some glue on the end and a little bit on each side. I'm going to grab one and put it right against the edge there, and then I'm going to put a little more glue on each side of it. Now the other two are going to have the same effect as these guys here. We're going to squish them together and put pins on them so that they keep the shape as narrow as it can be. And I'm trying to figure out a way I can do this and show you without destroying everything. Can wipe the excess glue away. Take your pins and pin those two on the sides down. This one is not under any pressure, so you don't have to pin it down, but you can if you want. Same thing all around. It looks like my camera died there at some point. However, we are done. Now you just let it dry completely. Once it's dry, you're gonna place your fingers over the places you're gonna pull the pins out of. You don't want anything to come out with the pins, so you place your fingers like that and then you pull out the pins. And once everything is out, you can embellish the little ornament with rhinestones, glitter. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please subscribe.